TSP bucket strategy and a horrible, horrible analogy. We're going to dive into this with an article that was emailed to me by, I forgot who actually. So if you're, let's just dive into this. I can't stop laughing. All right, so here's a guy named Mike Miles with Federal Times Money Managers. And Mike is a CFP, an advisor for Veriplan, an independent fiduciary in Vienna, Virginia. All right. And he writes on the Federal Times. All right, so let's take a look at old Mike here, because I just read this. I said, man, this is not this is a bad analogy. All right, so let's see if I can't make this bigger. How come I can do it? Oh, hey, look at that. All right. So, dear Mike, what is your opinion of the so-called bucket investment strategy for retirement in the TSP, with a now, soon, and later allocation? The now being a 3-year time frame in the G fund for a safe flow of income. The soon 3 to 5 year in the L fund, L income, that would be less conservative, and later maybe investing in the life cycle fund corresponding to life expectancy for more aggressive growth. I realize that allocations would have to be updated regularly. With such a strategy, it would be best to make the adjustments monthly, quarterly, or annually. First of all, oh my goodness, why do it monthly, quarterly? Just do it annually, man. Oh my goodness, why just... You're not going to do it monthly. You're just not. It's not going to happen. So don't. Just if you're going to do this, do it annually for sure. Right. And then I wouldn't even use the life cycle for your life expectancy. If I'm doing this, I'm just going straight to the. I'm just going straight to the. What would I do here? I would do the C fund, frankly, and the C and the S. That's all I would do. I'd do the G fund. In fact, what I would do is I'd do a barbell. 3 to 5 years in the G, and the rest in the C and S. That's literally that simple. Once a year, just reallocate, and be done with it. All right, so Mike says, can you take comments on here? Yeah, but do they have comments? No. All right, and this is not good. So, Mike, I don't know who this guy is. I'm not here to bash this guy. I just think this is bad. I hate to say bad advice, because it sounds like I don't mean that. I think it's a bad analogy. Let's put it that way. Mike says, you won't find a competent pension fund manager relying on the bucket strategy for portfolio management, and neither should you. There are better ways to ensure acceptable outcomes, but that also require a fair amount of specialized skill in statistical and probability analysis. That's just bad. If you're using statistical and probability analysis, man, for investments, this is behavior. Right? These are bubbles. We have crash. There's just, as I talked about with the book. Yeah, hold on a sec. With my man George Cooper's book and Benoit Mandelbrot and Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Now, I'm not a hugest fan of Cooper's book, and this is the origin of financial crisis. But one thing he does talk about is the bell curve and how insane it is, and to use that as a probability, a statistical approach in defining future risk returns is because there is no efficient market. There's just, let's put it that way. The efficient market hypothesis, I completely agree with that. It's not efficient. On top of that, rational behavior, there isn't any. All right, and that's because we're humans, man. Inherently, we're not rational. So if you're using probability and statistical analysis, what are you going to put into statistics to give you the end result? And that's it's kind of like Michael Mann and climate scientists. Junk in, junk out. That's for sure. You can prove anything you want if you manipulate the data. This is the 10th year of ClimateGate, by the way. I'll do another video on that. The bucket strategy, in its many variations, is a simple way of trying to create an asset allocation scheme for your portfolio. Is better than randomly guessing. Well, statistical and probability analysis are randomly guessing, but you'll still have to guess about the maximum safe standard of living that it will support. There is no inherently best rebalancing strategy or frequency. There's no inherently best rebalancing frequency. The frequency is part of an investment strategy, a variable that should be tested to ensure that it's optimal to achieve your goals. All right, so I don't have any necessary qualm with that, but what I don't like. You won't find a competent pension fund manager relying on the bucket strategy for portfolio management, and neither should you. Do you all see where this falls off a cliff for an analogy? So what happens is, let me just make myself bigger. All right, a pension fund manager, what is happening with this? By the way, my wife gave me a good cut yesterday, so if you wonder why my hair is so short, because she gave me a cut for free. Well, because a pension fund manager is managing money for a whole scenario of different people, different units, right? You are managing it for yourself. So the pension fund manager is taking these aggregate portfolios of you, Jane, John, Smith, Bob, all the whole thing, and throwing them into one portfolio. That's not you. You are taking it for you specifically. On top of that, a pension fund manager has what's called mortality. They say mortality credits, but they're mortality. So some people die early, some people die late. He is managing it for the average life expectancy of what they expect for the probability of death. You can't, I mean, to take this group of people and manage the assets to cover the vast majority of them in statistical probabilities for life expectancy is a whole hell of a lot different than take you specifically. You can't equate those two things. That's nuts, man. And I was on top of that saying adequate pension fund manager. Are there any? I mean, is CalPERS adequate because they're underfunded? The Illinois, Kentucky, you name it. All these pension funds are underfunded. So what's inadequate? It just the whole thing is. So what happens if a pension fund is inadequate or competent, I should say, incompetent? What can that pension fund do? He can rely on the taxpayer. He can rely on PBGC. What do? You don't have those things. So you can't to compare a competent pension fund manager to an individual. Oh my goodness, I'm sitting there thinking, I can't. I don't get that. I just find that to be hugely mistaken. Oh, the pension fund managers don't do it, so I can't do it too. That's bad advice. It's crazy. I don't know this guy. He can yell at me. I don't know. I'm not trying to make this guy seem like I'm not here to bash the guy. I'm here to say you can't make that analogy because we're talking you versus this huge group of people managing it for the average person, which isn't you. You are not the average person. You're an individual unit, and an individual unit has to take care of that individual unit. And you don't have a backstop in terms of raising taxes, getting government bailouts, PBGC, changing the payout rates to the recipients later on. You don't have that. Other people dying early, other people dying later. You have to manage it for you. So to sit there and say we're going to compare it to is not. So don't do that. All right, so let's go back to this TSP. I haven't read this article, but I did see it from 2012. And this is from 2012. Again, same guy. So, all right. So here he's saying, weird. I'm interested in seeing the thrift savings plan can be managed on a bucket type withdrawal. Again, things have changed because Trump signed the Modernization Act of TSP in 2017. Okay, this is more. Can you identify the members of Congress whose pet project is a TSP? And Mike says, no, I can't identify them, but you can use a bucket strategy in the TSP now. Just allocate your account the way you'd like. Take a withdrawal and rebalance your account. The bucket strategy is just another way to look at an asset allocation strategy. Even if you use buckets for your money, there's always an underlying asset allocation being implemented. Okay. And here's, all right. Anyway, and this guy, Al R., you may wish to Google Ray Lucia and the SEC. As per the SEC, Lucia fudged his numbers. See, that friggin' pisses me off, man. I don't know who this guy, Al R., is. Who was I watching the other day? It was this lady at the judge at my jury duty. She was saying, that we show even Martha Stewart isn't exempt from the grasp of the federal government going after the wealthy people because they made crap up. They do all the time. They can prosecute literally a ham sandwich if they want, or indict one, which will lead to prosecution. They do whatever they want. And they just get you to plead because you don't have the wherewithal to stand up against the government unlimited amount of money. Mike Flynn comes to mind. And so this whole thing, you may wish to Google Ray Lucia. So here's what Al is saying. Ray Lucia wrote the book, and I got it back there too. Let me pause it, I think. Let me see if I can't find it. Yeah, so Ray Lucia wrote this book. It's called The Buckets of Money Retirement Solution. Someone gave this to me. I forgot who did a number of years ago. And they got, let's see, they got some, Ben Stein is on here, and Ben, so there's some controversy between Ray and Ben, as their quid pro quo and what, I don't know. But at the end of the day, look, I haven't even read this book, and I got no qualm with Ray, Lucia, and Ben Stein. At the end of the day, I just, whatever, man. I mean, but So to indict the bucket strategy because some SEC charge against Ray Lucia and Lucia, however you say it. And by the way, if you look at this is what makes me infuriated. Oh, the SEC went after this guy. Thus, he's guilty. The SEC went after Mike Flynn. Thus, he's not the SEC. The DOJ. Oh, the SEC went after Martha Stewart. Thus, they're guilty. Huh? The freaking DOJ went after the senator in Alaska. I mean, we know these are fraudsters in the government that are going after prosecutions with a huge amount of power, going after innocent people because they can. Anyway, so you may wish to Google Ray Lucia basis guys indicting his bucket strategy. He fudged his numbers and skimped on his paperwork supporting his bucket formulas. You can do a buckets type scheme within the TSP, but it requires you to rebalance your TSP account after every withdrawal. So once a month. You don't have to do it once a month. Frankly, the buckets thing seems full of holes as your asset allocation can quickly turn out of whack. You can become stock heavy and be in danger of a market drop. All right, I do whatever, man. I don't care. But the bucket strategy is so easy to implement. And that's why I use the barbell, because no one's going to do it monthly. No one's going to do 3 buckets. I mean, when I say no one, again, I'm being facetious. There are some people who do. The vast majority won't. You got cash, you got stocks. All right? If stocks go up, take your money from the stocks. Stocks go down, take it from the cash. That's it. It's literally that simple. No fuss, no muss, just get it done. And the idea that you compare that to a pension fund manager or you're indicted because of some idiotic SEC charge against Ray, nuts. All right, we'll see you.